Hi everyone, today I'm joined by Sigi Burger. Sigi is currently a shooting superstar for Leeds Rhinos, where she's had an amazing season with a shooting percentage of over 90% and has sunk an incredible 579 goals across all of her games. Originally from sunny South Africa, Sigi has been in the UK since 2018 and has played with a number of franchises including Surrey Storm and London Pulse. Whilst living her life in the UK, Sigi has also been involved in a number of international call-ups, playing for South Africa in both the 2018 Commonwealth Games and the 2019 World Cup. With a total of 28 international caps and 5 years living, playing and working in the UK, Sigi is the perfect person to talk about the good, the bad and the ugly of being an athlete abroad. Welcome, Sigi. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. What an intro. You've been so busy.
I know, honestly, it feels so weird that I have the privilege of having a summer off this year. And because it's like for 6 years, it's been like Super League season to international season, back to Super League. So yeah, it's been a few busy years. I've been exceptionally grateful. But yeah, I guess hard work in the end kind of pays off. So
Yeah, and you've got a little bit of time to breathe now and rest and recover, ready for the next season.
Exactly, especially with the big World Cup coming up next year and everything. We got a bit of time. So
a little bit of time. So obviously today I want to talk to you about what it's like playing abroad. Obviously, as I mentioned, you are South African, you're from South Africa. So tell me a little bit more about your netball journey in South Africa. What level were you playing at? How did you get there? Because I presume it's very different to what we have in the UK.
Yeah, so my journey was slightly different to the average netballers, and also South African netball is completely different. So to start off with, we don't have club netball. Club netball isn't a thing here in South Africa. So you need to basically be playing school netball, and then we have county, so we call it provincial, which is like your regional and county level netball. Okay. And there's only one like national championships a year. So you'll like go through like your district and then like wider area and then like to your county, to your province. And then they choose like 3 teams of like 10 per age group, and then you go play a national tournament. And for me, I was playing from like 14 years old, so from grade 8, 13, 14, from grade 8 I was playing like for our school's first team, so for the under 18As and all that. And I was like never really even cared about provincial netball at all. And then when I was like under 16, I went for the first round of trials. And you know, as you always get, like there was loads of politics, and the head selector for the first round, which was literally like only 3 schools, she chose a girl from her under 16 B team from her school above me in the first round. And I was a bit like, I'm not saying I'm good, but I definitely thought I was like slightly better than that girl, because I'd already been
I love that. You were like, girl, you should have chosen me.
Honestly, I was like, oh my gosh. So the next year, I was just like, my motto going into trials was like, be so good they can't ignore you.
Love that.
So from like not even having made the first round in under 16, in under 17, I made all the way through to like the Western Capes and my provinces, like A team. And then I made it all the way through like to the SA schools, like top 35, etc. in my under 18 year. And so that's basically how my way went. And that's another thing of like, never ever give up. Like if you're not the superstar when you're super young, it doesn't matter, because like no one cares about it. Like if you have the drive, the hard work will somewhere along the road pay off. And like I know loads of girls who were like every year in like the SA schools team for their age group, and always like in their county or their provinces like A team, but they sadly don't even play netball anymore because they like just never bothered to continue, or they were like so worn out. By the time they went to university where they could actually start playing at a higher level, they were just like exhausted and they just couldn't care less. So for me, I think the thing that actually made me want to play internationally was the fact that I was never selected, and that I peaked at such a, or like started on my journey at such a like late age. But there are a few of us who are in that same position. Carla Pretorius, who's like, and like arguably the best player in the world. Carla was exactly the same. She only actually made it like after school. Shadeen van der Merwe, who played now for Thunder, she also only made it. Like we are loads of girlies who like only started performing after high school. And we all wanted it that much more because we never were the it girls. And then, yeah, after school, again, we don't really have club netball or prem or anything like that. So what we ended up doing was you have to play at university basically, because we have a university league, like, which is equivalent to your box, and it's for 2 months, and you play a few other universities, and it's on our equivalent of Sky Sports, and it's like a huge deal. So that's the one big competition we have a year. And then the other big competition that we have every year is our Brutal Fruit Netball Premier League, which is like the equivalent of our Super League, except it's on like a way smaller scale. So yeah, basically that's what you have to perform in to kind of be identified. So yeah.
I love that, and I love that mindset that you just weren't going to give up, and it pushed you when you didn't get selected, and you were just like, I'm going to show you what I can do.
Literally.
Yeah, and I think it's so right. I think lots of people do give up, and it is such a mindset, isn't it, being an athlete, that you've just got to push
100%.
through it all the time.
Yeah, and I think another big thing about like not giving up, I always say, like, it's not about the amount of times you get knocked down, it's about the amount of times you get like stand up again. Like, there are so many examples, like especially throughout my netball career, where I'm in the pro tier team and then I'm not selected, and then I work hard and I'm back in the team, or I'm performing again, and then the next two again I'm not selected, but someone gets injured. But because I've had the mindset of like, I'm going to continue working and stuff, that when I get the call up or when I get selected again, I just like slot in seamlessly. And I think that is just one of those things, like, honestly, it's really like every time you get knocked down, you just need to be like, you know what? I'm going to stand up this one more time, because my biggest fear is one day looking back and having so many regrets that like, oh my gosh, I wish I actually had just done it. Or what if? I don't want to one day be able to look back and be like, what if I had, just stood up that once more time and proven them wrong, kind of thing. So I'm always just about their mindset, like, just work hard while you're young. Like, the worst that can happen is you've worked hard and nothing comes from it, but like, you've put yourself in an incredible position. You've developed skills you never thought you could, or you've transformed your body in terms of like maybe turning into a powerhouse, or do you know what I mean? Like, there's always from working hard, that you're always going to reap some sort of benefits.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Yeah. And it's just about like showing what you're worth. Like, I always say that to players, if they say they're on the bench all the time and they want to quit, I'm like, but when you get your opportunity, you need to just show what you can do. And it's so
100.
true, isn't it? So true.
Yeah, like, and if there are any players who are like maybe feeling stuck because you're always sat on the bench, all I can say is like, being a bench player, I've sat on the bench for like many international games. Yes, exactly, like more than I've actually played. And guess what? Like, I always say, being a bench player is the most important job. Like, you need to, when that match is on, like, you need to be so switched. You need to firstly have the warm up of your life, and then secondly, like, when you're sat on that bench, you need to be so focused and so switched on of what's happening on court, because all it takes is one girl to get injured or have an awful day or have maybe period cramps or something, and they need to come off, and that's your opportunity to go on. You need to be so switched on that when you go on, you almost can like immediately like straight away get in the flow with the rest of the girls. And that's that moment, like that moment where you get that random opportunity, like 3 minutes here, 5 minutes there. Like, you need to go on and be like, show the coaches, like, I have this, I'm a team player, so I've been switched on and I'm so focused, and when I go on, I'm going to have such a good game, slotting straight away in and playing well and showing that I'm enjoying it, that those 3 minutes you get could like be the thing that switches you, and that is like, that turns you into that starting lineup player. So bench players, like, a team is only as strong as their weakest bench player, I always say. So I feel like those are the most important people, and without you guys, players on courts, will get injured and won't have anything to replace it. So
I completely agree. It's team sport at the end of the day, and although we all want to play, we've got to be part of the team as well. So
exactly.
Tell me about when you got your first call, or you got that call to play in the UK. I was so intrigued. Who rang you? How did you react? Where were you? Tell me all about it.
So my netball contract career kind of in the UK was so different to every other girl's, because what happened was, in 2017, I did my ACL, MCL, and MPFL. So basically, I got a brand new knee. And that was the year I was supposed to be with the South African under-21s and all of this. But because I got injured, I couldn't really play and I couldn't really prove myself. I had already debuted for the South African national team the previous year. So people knew who I was. And I had been in contact with Kat Ratnapala, but she's an awesome lady. Like, I can only sing her praises because she gave me the opportunity to come train with the Mavericks girls.
Okay, so it was Mavericks where it all started.
Yes. So Kat was like, I was finishing my final year of exams, that's like final year of studies, and at university, and she was like, Ziggy, how about you just come train with us for like a month, and then you see if you enjoy it or whatever. And I was like, amazing, because at the time when we were in contact, I hadn't actually been on court yet because of my ACL and stuff. And so I wrote my last exam on like the 15th of November. I think it was a Monday. I finished my exams at 6 p.m. that night. I flew to England as like a 21-year-old, which is like so exciting but so scary, right?
I'm so not surprised.
Literally, it's like the most Ziggy thing ever to do. And I came over and I absolutely like arrived at the Mavs girls, and I stayed with my cousin and one of my best friends, Dominique. So I split the week with like my cousins and them. And I arrived and I loved the girls, and it was like the most awesome setup. Kat is an amazing coach. Camilla's an amazing coach. And then they were obviously fully signed, and they had like superstars such as Alice Travis and Karen Bailey and all of those girls there. So there wasn't space for me, and that's completely fine. And then I heard that Surrey Storm were looking for a shooter, and someone actually gave my contact details to Tanya Hoffman. And I remember the one morning I woke up and I got a call from her, and she's like, hey, I heard you're looking to potentially stay. I heard there's no space for you. However, how about you come and have a chat with us in Surrey today? And at this stage, I woke up that morning and I was meant to go chat to do my postgrad degree at Oxford University. So I was like, okay, so I cancelled my Oxford meeting so I could go chat to the people in Surrey. And I arrived, and Tanya was like, all right, so we've done all our research on you. We would really love to sign you. The names have to be in coincidentally before 5 p.m. today. So like, this is what we can offer you. Are you in or not? And I just remember being like, oh my gosh. So the first thing, what as a 21-year-old, like very like mommy, daddy, like attached, I'm like, I need to ask their opinion. And I'm phoning my parents and no one's answering. And I'm like, why in the world is nobody answering? Turns out they were at my brother's graduation ceremony, and I'm like,
how dare they?
I need to make a grown-up decision. Why is nobody helping? And I was just like, okay, is this something I would want? And I was like, 100%. And I just closed my eyes and signed, and I was like, you know what, I've never actually looked back. And you know, that call from Tanya being like, we want you potentially, how about you come check us out? It's like, I'm so grateful they took the chance on me, because yeah, like I'm very grateful, because I managed to grab it with two hands and be like, all right, this is mine.
Yeah, that is insane, and such a panic as well. I can't imagine how you felt.
Well, yeah, she's like, to Surrey, yeah, literally, like I didn't even know how to get to Surrey, and then also being like, you've got half an hour to make a decision because we have to have the names. And I'm like, dudes, like I don't even know what the amount you're offering me, if I can like live off it or not. Like, I don't know, we're just gonna go with it, and fingers crossed.
I get stressed when I have to make a panic order at a restaurant, let alone something like that.
Yeah, I know, literally. So yeah, it was amazing, but I'm so grateful, honestly. Like, it's like I always say, it's like little moments like that where you like just have to like grab life by the horns and be like, what's the worst that can happen? You realize you made a bad investment or a bad mistake, but
yeah,
okay.
You can always recover stuff, but you can never get opportunities back sometimes.
Exactly. So yeah.
So you obviously signed with Surrey Storm. I didn't know that you'd gone to Mavericks first, so that's interesting. But how did you find training and playing in the UK compared to netball back home? What was different? What was the same?
So it was very different in terms of, I find they train exceptionally late in the UK. So in South Africa, and we trained a lot less here. So in South Africa, we're training every single day on outdoor like tennis courts. So it's like heavy impact and it's hot. And we used to train 6 to 8 p.m. every night, whereas at Surrey Storm, you had weights from like 6:30 till 8, and then you like train from 8 to 10 or something. Like, I'm speaking under correction, but it was like very, very late at night. And then like 9 a.m. we would have a shooting session. So it was like, I found like quick turnarounds and then like long gaps in between. But I absolutely loved it. training here with the girlies. It's a completely different culture, completely different atmosphere, which is something I'm not used to. And all of a sudden being like a big fish in a tiny pond, I was a tiny fish in a big pond, which is so exciting because you get to really like spread your wings and challenge yourself. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. The only differences obviously are like the fact that here it's a lot more like you've got your physios on hand, you've got indoor courts,
Woo.
you've got like S&C before training. Like, so there were a few differences, but you know, it only did my career well. So yeah.
Did you find the coaching style was very different? Because I know obviously like the Australian game is so different to the English game. Did you find that hard to adapt to?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I loved it. So in South Africa, I felt like it's a very different mindset in terms of like, here you go on court and they'll be like, you're the best. This is what you're going to go on court. This is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to smash it. Go out, do it, and do it well. Whereas in South Africa, sometimes, depending on the type of coach, it could be a bit more like, go out, here's your chance, but don't mess it up. So you're almost a bit more like you're so proud to represent whatever team you're playing for, but you're so like aware that like this is your chance and you need to like really grab it. So like maybe when I was way younger, I felt a lot more stressed going into matches, like because you live with this like huge pride of this team and this ethos, and you really just don't want to disappoint. Whereas here it's like, if you make a mistake, it's okay. Like, we're going to turn the ball for you and you're going to get another chance.
Yeah.
So it's just a very different mindset. Both work well. Like, I'm very proud, like grateful I can do both. But like, yeah, so it was just so different. And I think that gave me that confidence to be like, you know what, I'm here. I'm going to explore. I'm going to try to make my mark. If it comes off, it comes off. If it doesn't, that's also okay. Like, you're going to have an opportunity to grow. So yeah.
I love that. And I love that they were like they look after you, especially as a shooter as well. Like, the pressure is big, right? If you get it in,
exactly.
You win. If you don't, you lose. So it's nice.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what was the hardest thing then about being an overseas athlete? Like, what have you found most difficult?
For me, I've always been very grateful that like there's always been another South African or another import. I think it can get very lonely for us because if you think about it, like it's like I feel like after school everyone is settled in their friendship groups and stuff, and then coming in as a stranger, like who are you going to hang with? Like, are you welcome? Is everyone in relationships? So they time consume. So sometimes like when I haven't been home for maybe like 10 months, I start to get like I start to notice like I'm missing my parents, I'm missing home, I'm missing the food and the culture and the familiarity. I think that sometimes towards the end of my like season gets to me. Then the other thing was probably just something so basic, but it was the weather. I'm just not used to it being like the first day of spring and it's snowing. We're in South Africa, first day of spring, we are in the pool. So I think it was the weather, and then obviously just like having to be independent, but it's exciting, so it's not too bad. Nothing I'll cry about. So yeah,
I mean, I'm with you with the weather. We've had recently a heat wave and now it seems quite cold again, so it's horrible.
Literally
summer. So as I mentioned, you've also, while you've been in the UK, had a few international games as well, playing for South Africa at the World Cup and the Commonwealth Games. How did you manage to juggle that, where you were playing in the UK with your UK team, whichever franchise you were with, and then also trying to train with your South Africa team? Like, how did that work? How did you juggle it?
Yeah, so with the juggling both, it's I'm very grateful that every single franchise I've ever been with has been exceptionally accommodating, because they're like really proud to have someone who's associated with like international federation. And obviously like I'm so proud to have been a part of Netball South Africa. So it gets tricky in the preseason, because like in preseason they want like I'll finish the season here and then I'll fly straight into South Africa and go straight into some sort of training camp, and then it's like a bit like full on. But then when there was 1 year, I remember, where it was like I was in England, then I flew to South Africa for a training camp, and it's all out of my own pockets as well, mind you, so it gets very expensive very quickly. So I flew to South Africa for a training camp. Then I flew back here for Fast 5 for Surrey Storm. And then because I was here for like 10 days. And then I flew back to South Africa for another training camp. And then we flew to Melbourne for the Fast 5 World Series, just for me to fly back to South Africa to fly up. And it's like a lot of just like miles and just like having to be super organized, be like, okay, I'm physically not in the country here, and I'm going to have to book tickets early so that I'm there. And it's okay. And very grateful, like Mickey Austin was an amazing coach. Well, she still is an amazing coach, but when I had her, she was amazing, because she was just like, you know what, Zeg, like if anything changes or if we implement anything, like I'll keep you up to date. And always just checking in whilst I'm that side, like, is there anything we can do as Surrey Storm to like make it better for you? So like I could only like sing her praises, like she was amazing during this. So that is exceptionally busy time I had. So she was awesome. And then also like Sam Bird, when I was with South Africa and Pulse, she was amazing as well, just very encouraging and being like, okay, well, maybe how about you don't come back to Fast now, stay at home for XYZ, then you do your few training camps and then you come join us. Just make sure you're training, kind of thing. So I feel the coaches are very accommodating. If like, unless, you know, like in their different ways, they'll just be like, how can we make you as an athlete and your well-being as important? But all the coaches I've had have been very supportive in terms of like, they know how important family time is. So they'll be like, all right, you need to spend Christmas at home and whatever. So how about you go train with the SA girls, you do some preseason, we'll send you a program, and then you stay for Christmas and New Year's and you come back with quad series. So it's difficult, but it is doable. And I'm just grateful that any coach I've had and any franchise has just been like, yep, we can help you, we'll sort it out. So yeah,
I guess just being on top of everything is so important. And I guess having that relationship with your coach becomes even more important, because I've got to trust you, right, that you're doing the right training,
exactly,
that you stay fit. How did you tackle with kind of having that ethos on court and being able to slot in with your teammates if you're not training with them all the time, like your South African teammates? How did that work?
So obviously it's difficult because, you know, like everyone's building connections on court, and you're maybe not, you're just like doing whatever. So it's difficult, but I think what's important, and like what I found was amazing with, like, for example, let's just use my most recent season with Rhinos. I was with the SA tour in Ireland, Northern Ireland and Republic of Ireland, and then I came back here. But like they had like a few Zoom meetings or whatever, and I was included in that. And being included in like with the Zoom meetings, etc., you start to build a bit of community, and like people will be checking in on you. Or I just feel with a club, like what was so good with Rhinos is like they had a blueprint and they were like, this is the Rhinos way. No. So when I came, because it was set up like within the first 2 weeks, they'd be like, this is how we do things, this is why we do them, this is what we stand for. So the minute I understood it, it's very easy to like just slot in because the infrastructure has been laid down. So I think what's important for like an athlete to come over is like you need the club to have like a strong set of values, infrastructure, like be like, we have physio, we have recovery, we have this, we have nutritionists, whatever, and we're going to help you as an athlete, like do whatever. And for playing wise, it's like, okay, we're going to sort out maybe a few sessions where it's attackers, so you can understand like what each thing means, and they'll be like, as a team, like we need your role to be this, and it's like, okay, I know what my role is, I need to now make sure out of my own, like I nail that, whether that's meeting individually for coffees with like my goal attack, wing attack center to understand it better. But it just worked amazingly. So very grateful.
I think that's a really important tip for players and coaches, that you need to have kind of that, like you say, a blueprint. That's a good way of putting it, to say like, this is what we believe in, this is why we have it, and like you need to get on board, because if you can't get on board with that, then you're not going to be part of the team, or part of the team as well. So let's go back then to your life in the UK and all of the franchises that you played for. How were they different? What inspired you to move each time? I know obviously sometimes it's to do with spaces or anything like that. Which one is your favourite? I know you're going to say Leeds because you're currently at Leeds. But tell me about all your different like franchises that you played for, and like, what the differences were.
Of course. So every franchise has been so amazing and so unique in its own way. So I got lucky that I got thrown into Surrey Storm. Surrey Storm had obviously just like I'm speaking under correction, but like 2 years prior to me joining, won the Super League because they had the team of legends, which became the team which were Wasps, with Tamsin Greenway as the coach. Tamsin's a mastermind, honestly. So with Surrey Storm, it was really appealing, firstly, because there was space. And secondly, like, it was just a really good bunch of girls, like, not crazy names, like, you know, like superstars, but they worked well together. And again, like, it's a team that's established. It's very exciting. So that was really appealing. And then obviously the second year where Mickey became head coach, Mickey, like, as a player the previous year, like, I knew that she is so passionate about the game, and she's so smart as a coach and as a player. Well, as a player, she was smart. So I was like, okay, like, I can get on board. And she did amazingly. Again, like, the team was just continuing to build. We added new things we might not have added the previous year. Obviously, I'm not going to give away every team's secrets. To what makes them, like, gives them that X factor, just to, like, respect each team. And then I got the opportunity. So I'd been 2 years at Surrey Storm, and obviously I had the opportunity to stay. Then I got a call from Sam Bird, who was becoming the London Pulse head coach. And Sam was like, all right, I'd love to have you. Like, she was just like, how does it sound? Like, I'd love to have you. We could put you up in a school, like, you can coach. Does that sound good or not? And I was like, I am very, like, I feel very safe in my own comfort zone. And I'm a firm believer that, like, growth only happens outside your comfort zone. So that's why when I was at university, I could easily have done, like, another few years of studies, but to sign with Surrey Storm again is throwing myself out of my comfort zone. And with the opportunity to go Pulse, basically it was like, it's a new up and coming franchise. It's a different coach, a different style. I need to throw myself out of my comfort zone because I can only grow when I'm in discomfort. And that's why you'll see loads of girls, like, play 2 seasons somewhere and then they're like, I need to challenge myself, basically, or I need to make it as uncomfortable as I can to become better. And I was like, oh, this is scary, but I'm going to just try it. Like, there's no harm in. Yeah, and I mean, you know, Sam is also, like, amazing. Like, she's made a name for herself. Look how well she's done with Pulse. Like,
amazing.
There's method to the whirlwind that can come with it sometimes. And I was like, okay, you know what? I get an opportunity to coach at a school. It's a very good package. There are some incredible girls there. And Lindsay Keeble and I had stayed mates because she was at Mavericks when I had originally been there. And she's kind of the one who got me because she told them, like, guys, you need to find a spot. Yeah. And she was going back and I was like, oh my gosh, like, that will be so nice to be reunited with my Lindsay. And, you know, just London, like, I'm 21, 20, I don't know how old I was that year. And I was like, I'm young, I need to explore. And, you know, okay. So I was like, all right. So I went, and again, I played with Chiara and Aideen, and it was amazing. Then COVID hit, and I was like, oh my gosh. And the year after, again, amazing opportunities. Like, we built as a team, so good. And then again, last year, I had, like, I could have obviously stayed or moved, and I got an opportunity from Rhinos. And there were a few reasons to move, but again, like, one of them was growth. And I was like, I need to throw myself up. I need to be so uncomfortable in, like, a completely new region I've never been before. And it was really appealing, was like the fact that, like, this looked so like a family. And I'm not saying any of the other teams didn't, because, like, everybody is their own little, like, unique family. But I was like, this is something exciting. And I was on a relationship that was on the way out. As you know, love isn't always happy. It's unlucky sometimes. And I just thought, you know what, going up north, it's a completely fresh start. The Rhinos family look amazing. Like, Dan Ryan was still the head coach. I was like, got the opportunity, and I was like, I need to try this. Like, it just looks so exciting. And I came, and again, like, it never ever disappointed me. So I'm so, so grateful. It's been an amazing season. And yeah, I have no idea what the future holds. Hopefully good netball. Hopefully, we'll see. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's what Leeds, basically, in a nutshell.
Yeah, it looks like you're loving life in Leeds. I always see all your Instagrams and Sienna Rushton as well. You look like you're an all great friends. It's great. I love it.
And my house, honestly, like I have the awesomest housemates. Like I live with Trainee Keenan, Becca Airy, and Amy Clinton.
Amazing.
And couldn't have asked for a better group of girls, honestly. So, so, so awesome.
Yeah, it means a lot, doesn't it, when you get on with your teammates?
Yeah, it does. And also when you've got like a solid group that always have your back and you always have their back, and it's like we like family, like we'll be like brutally honest, but we want it because we want what's best for each other, and exactly. It's like ride or die. So it's really, really exciting.
Yeah, I love that. So what advice would you give to a player dreaming to be able to play top level netball overseas? What would you tell them to do? What should they be doing? What advice
would say like put in the hard work and don't let any disappointments or failures, I don't like that word, but like anything that might like come up out of the blue, like don't let it put you off. Like honestly, like if you want it, you can get it. And even if you don't end up getting it, if you've worked hard and you don't end up getting it, remember you're not a failure. Like netball world is so, so small, like the opportunities are tiny. I would just say like work hard. I always believe like the saying like today I will do what others don't so that tomorrow I can do what others can't. So that's like whether you're an up and coming shooter, whether that's like putting up 350 to 500 goals in every single day whilst all your friends are scrolling on TikTok, because even though you might be here and the talent might be here, but while they are just chilling and resting on their laurels, you working hard, work, somewhere you'll end up matching them. And whilst they're still resting on their laurels and you continue working, you will work, and then you'll like take over them. So that's me. Like I was nothing and I worked and I matched the girls who should have been SA netballers, and they were still like just resting on their laurels, and I worked and then I overtook them, and because of that I'm able to do something I love. Yeah, so I just say like dedication, work hard. Yeah, definitely, and don't ever let any setback like knock you from getting to your dream. Don't. I refuse.
That's like I love that. Yeah, I refuse.
Yeah.
All right, so I put a little question box up on Instagram to get some questions from members and viewers. So are you ready to answer some questions? So the first one we've got is, what's your favourite netball practice to do when you haven't got a partner?
Okay. I'm very basic in traditional in terms of like just wall work. Ball in a wall is like your bestie. Honestly, like you look at like so many people, like big dogs, they still, when was it, last year when we were all playing like at Wakefield, I went outside and like outside our change room, and like Serena Guthrie, who's like one of the best netball players in the world, she was like just doing ball. She's such an inspirational player. Like she was doing ball work and I was like on the wall, I was like, what? Like you wouldn't expect her to be doing it because she's Serena Guthrie. So I would just say like ball on a wall, just getting that hand eye, all of that, you can't go wrong. And whether, there's so many variations. So I would just say like ball on a wall is like, you don't always need a partner. Like literally all you need is like a little space, whether that's like for agility or if you only have a wall, just doing some passing and catching. Netball in the end of the day, when you take away all the fancy stuff, it is just a game of passing and catching and then putting it in. Yeah. So don't overthink it. Yeah. Do your basics well.
Yeah, basics are so, so important, as I believe, as you know. Yeah. Question number 2, how often do you practice shooting to make you so consistent?
So growing up every single day, like at least, like when I was baby, 150 goals in. So that's the thing, like when you have to count only the amount of ones in, you'll very quickly start shooting accurately, because otherwise you're going to be there for hours. So if you've got to get X amount in, you're just like, okay, right, I'm going to try to do this as well as possible so that I get it done. And then 300 and then 500. Now, because I work, I try to get to shoot every day. Obviously, I don't always get around to it, but my belief is like, when I go, because I know I'm limited for time, I go like in full focus mode. I go and I get the post and I'm like, all right, you only have 25 minutes. 20 minutes to do this, you need to do it well. So I feel then now I'm at the age where when I train, it's quality. So I'll just be like, all right, like I've got 20 minutes and I want to put in as many shots, but like I want to only miss 3 shots in the 20 minutes kind of thing. So I work at it in a different way. Like, and I'm under pressure because I'm under pressure for time. So I'll just be like, get in, like smash as much as I can. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that idea of putting yourself under pressure in training. I watched a Netflix film, I can't remember what it was now, but it was based on a true story. And they basically said, put all the pressure on yourself in training so that when it comes to a game, there's no pressure. And I think that's so true, especially for shooters.
Yeah. If like, I always want to be like, it hasn't been like now, but in the past, it's always been like, my trainings are the most difficult. So that's like anything, like you're almost more scared of your trainings than you are of the match because trainings are so tough. By the time you get to the match, you're like, oh, this is breeze compared
Easy.
to like,
only an hour, I'll do it.
yeah, honestly. And the thing is, like, there are some clubs, I'm not going to mention any names, but you can see they are performing amazingly. I'm not going to literally not mentioning names, but they are performing amazingly. And I'm telling you, that's the secret to their success is their trainings, and the people they train against is like very difficult. That when they get to the matches, they're like, I can do this because training was way worse. So yeah.
And then last question, what's the best thing and the worst thing about living in the UK?
Okay, the best thing is the safety. Love the fact I can walk at night alone and nothing's going to happen to me. I'm going to get home safely, touch wood. Honestly, safety is amazing. People are amazing. The worst thing is the weather, and I think South Africa has better food. So
really?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, everyone, if you're watching, come to World Cup next year and prove me wrong.
I love that. Fighting talk. Okay, yeah. Next section then, we're nearly done, but I'm going to put you through a bit of a quick fire round. So I'm going to ask you some questions and you basically just got to answer as quickly as possible. Are you ready?
Let's go do this.
This is quick fire with Sigi Burger. So morning training or evening training?
Morning. Energy
drink or water?
Water.
Court sprints or a strength session?
Court sprints.
Really? Leeds or London?
Sorry? Leeds or London?
We've got a... Go on, quick.
Okay. Leeds.
Yeah. South Africa or the UK?
South Africa.
Fish and chips.
Actually, neutral. Switzerland. I'm Switzerland. Geneva. I'm in the middle.
I know what your answer is going to be for this one now. Fish and chips or biltong beef?
Biltong.
Yeah, I thought so. Vitality Super League or the Telkom Netball League?
No answer.
Neutral again. Switzerland.
Neutral. They're both amazing. Amazing, honestly.
But you're not moving back anytime soon, right?
I'm out. My lips are sealed.
So that's the end of the podcast. Thanks for joining us, Sigi. I know everything's top secret, but I can't wait to see what you're up to next season. Where can people find you if they want to keep up with your life in the UK?
So for everyone, thank you firstly for listening. If you're still here, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and obviously if you are new here, make sure you get hold of Jenny's or Netball Excellence trainings programs. It's amazing. I'm a big believer in it, and as a netballer, these are the extra sessions you want to be doing in order to be hitting those goals. So I think that's awesome. I think she's doing an amazing job in what she is. So there's a reason it's taking off, and it's a reason there's in demand. She's in demand, so get a hold of that. You can find me on Sigi Burger on Instagram, which is SIGIBURGER. And you can find me there. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to DM me. I'm very awful with the phone. If I see them, I'll try to reply. But let me know what you thought of the podcast. Thanks so much for listening, guys.
So that's it for our time with Sigi. Thanks for joining us and listening to the Net Podcast. I'll see you again next time with more tips and interviews to help you learn, train and perform like an athlete. See ya.
Bye.
Living life every day.